Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and the premise of today's video is really straightforward. I'm going to be comparing the Suhr Alt T with the PRS CE-22 because I feel like these guitars have a lot in common with one another, and thus I'm only going to be keeping one of them. We're going to start things right off with the sound comparisons, and then afterwards I'm going to sit with each guitar individually and tell you what I like about each one of them. Sound comparisons are always the most requested and popular parts of these videos, but for me, I don't think that they're the most important thing to consider. You can always EQ a little bit to try and make up the difference if you want something sounding a little bit sweeter, or also you try raising or lowering your pickups. That makes a big difference as well. But I do want to talk about what I feel is something of value, and that is feel differences and things that I love about each individual guitar. We'll start with the PRS, the CE-22. They don't make anything like this anymore. This has been discontinued for over a decade, and when they did bring back the classic electric line, they only brought back the CE-24, and those are built very differently than these guitars are, despite also being made in Maryland. At the body alone, there are two very noticeable differences between one of the older models, whether it is a CE-22 or a CE-24, and the newer ones. These have a full-on core carve. These are beautiful, man. The tops on these are fantastic, but you also get an American-made tremolo system. It feels great. The thing sustains awesome. It stays in tune so well, and there's nothing wrong with the import ones that come on the CE-24, the S2 custom 24s, or even the SEs. They're all pretty much the same exact unit, but I do appreciate and notice a difference between this one and those ones, and that's good value for money in my opinion. The wide fat neck profile is also incredible. For years I was intimidated just because they named it wide fat. I was expecting it to be an absolute baseball bat, but I can assure you it's not really the case unless you're somebody who's used to playing like wizard necks from Ibanez or something like that. It is extremely comfortable. And one thing that I love about PRS guitars in general, coming from traditional Fender scale like instruments for the most part, these feel more like an extension of my body because the distance that I have to reach to get to the first fret at the nut here is lower. So it all feels a little bit more compact, and these are just excellent, excellent guitars. And that leads me right into the Alt T. And the very first thing I notice after switching from the PRS to this one is the weight. This is 1.5 pounds lighter than the CE-22. Now, the CE-22 isn't exactly a boat hanger, but this is a feather, and I really do appreciate that because sometimes when I'm really feeling an idea or I'm trying to just work something out, I can spend hours and hours and hours sitting and playing it. And with this guitar, similar to my 77 Albatross, they're so light that it allows me to do it with no side of discomfort or pain or anything like that. Not that I would really get that from the CE-22, but it's a big plus, at least in my book. It also dispels the whole kind of notion I read on the internet every so often that guitars that are super light or guitars that do have a thin line or semi-hollow body construction to them, they simply don't sound as big. They don't do as well with gain. They don't have the presence of solid body heavy guitars. And I think a lot of that comes from people that were just used to playing 10 or 11 pound Les Paul customs through Marshall 4x12s, because in practice I don't really notice a difference, and I'm not really thinking, oh, I wish this guitar sounded a little bit bigger, because it sounds gigantic when I need it to. But more importantly for me in my playing style, one of the reasons I like this better than the PRS, the Dragon 2 pickups, they're really solid. These pickups are outstanding clean. With all that being said, the deciding factor between the PRS and the Suhr Alt T for me, this guitar inspires me to play it more so than the CE-22 does. That doesn't mean that this is a better guitar than the CE-22, because we're all a little bit different. But this guitar, it's everything I could have possibly wanted from an alternate style Telecaster. And a Telecaster is my favorite kind of guitar of all time, so kind of makes sense that way. If you found this helpful, useful, and or entertaining, feel free to let me know by leaving a like. Subscribing to the channel also helps out. And also let me know if there's any sorts of videos you'd be interested in seeing me film into the future. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take it easy, everybody.